is the time where we come to do business. We have to take a break in all the fun and do a little bit of that while we're here. So we're going to go through the agenda. We're going to make a few minor changes to the one that's printed in your program. It's on page 21. I guess the first order up, I probably shouldn't have come up. We've got Jason Whitaker for our invocation. I could have handed that to you on the floor.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for letting us be here today. We thank you for all this fellowship you're allowing us to have, for being able to share with one another, learn from each other. And we thank you for the many blessings received from all this. We pray that you'll bless this food to our bodies, be with our meeting today. And we pray that you'll be with us as we travel as well, have safety back home. And all this in your name. Amen.
For those of you that don't know Jason Whitaker is our past president, and I guess officially after our business meeting today, we'll be rotating off the board in that capacity anyway. We can always put somebody to work when needed. I want to welcome you all here today. I had the privilege this morning of sitting in on the NCLGISA 101 class, and it was a nice refresher. Sandy does a great job with that, of what NCLGISA is really about. And I have a slot to talk to you about a year in a review, and I could tell you about all of the meetings that your board has had during the year, all the conversations we've had about how to do things at the conference, how to make sure you all have a good time here at the conference and get something professionally out of it. But it struck me this morning that there is a lot that some of you may not know about our organization. I have been with NCLGISA or coming to these conferences since 1991. Like the lady who is here who had the 40 plus years of service, I started as a teenager in the IT realm. But one of the questions this morning in the NCLGISA 101 was, how did you first hear about NCLGISA? My first IT job was in the health department in Johnston County. The first computer person, as I was called, later to be known as computer girl, hired by that county. And I had not been in the job but a couple of weeks, and a postcard came in the mail. How they got my name, I do not know. But a postcard came in the mail saying that this group, which I didn't know how to say NCLGISA, I'm like the speaker yesterday, what is that? Was going to meet in Chapel Hill on such and such a date. And there was a phone number to call. For those of you that don't remember 1991, there was very little email going on in that day. There was no World Wide Web, not in Johnston County anyway. Some of you bigger guys may have had it. So we actually had to pick up and dial the phone and call up a lady named Janet and sign up to go to this event called NCLGISA meeting. So I showed up in Chapel Hill with my suitcase at what was then called the Institute of Government. Not the School of Government as it is known now, but the Institute. The building was very different than it is now, and there were actually dorm rooms in the building. So coming from a county with very limited budget, the dorm room was, I think, maybe $25 a night or some very small amount. So I brought my suitcase in and went to my first NCLGISA meeting. We were lucky if we had 50 people or so there. So 50 or so people sitting in a room, and I remember there was no major agenda for those meetings. So you're used to now we have big speakers, great speakers, concurrent sessions led by our members. That is one thing that has kept. We did break out into small groups and have presentations, but I remember sitting there that first year just shell-shocked. People were throwing things all around the room. You know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But for me, as a young 20-something coming into IT, this was the organization that helped me shape my career. I got to know people like some of you will know, Russ Goff, who was the Wake County IT director. I don't even know whether he ever had the CIO title during his career, but that's what he was. Jerry Pinkard from Charlotte, Mecklenburg. Rex Wilder from the city of Greenville was there, one of the first people I met. Bill Stice from Cary was there, some of the people that you'll see at this conference. Those people became friends of mine. They are the people that if I need to vent or call, that I would call. And I actually met a guy through these events named Bill Klontz. He was the IT director for New Hanover County. And didn't know when I met him and got to know him through NCLGISA that somewhere down the line he would give me a call one day and say, hey, you know, I'm getting ready to retire shortly, and maybe you'd be interested in moving to New Hanover County. So the relationships you build through this organization are very valuable. They are the essence of the organization, the connections that you make here. We've changed a lot over the years. We didn't have vendors at those conferences with 50 people. There were those in our organization that felt that if we had vendors at our meetings, nobody would want to come. Nobody would feel like they could speak freely, that our organization was doomed if we opened that door. There were a few of us who decided we wanted to try that. And I remember David Bowling, who's here at this meeting, standing up at Wrightsville Beach and saying, I think we need to give it a try, being the first to stand up and say that. As you can see, our organization today is thriving. We could never put on a conference like this without the participation of our vendor partners. They have brought us along to where we are today and added value to this conference for you, our members. So we took a chance, we did something different, and we grew from that. And we'll have more things like that as a group, things that challenge us, things that make us think about things differently, and those are okay, because out of that comes change, growth, those kinds of things. So I hope you are enjoying the conference and what it brings. Today you're going to hear about more of the good work of the organization. Most of the work is done by our committees. The board, I like to say, we get to kind of sit in the seats and help drive the train, but somebody else has got to be stoking the engine and keeping everything running. And where that occurs is on our committees. And these people give inordinate amount of time to give you good value for your NCLGISA membership. One of the key relationships we've had from the beginning, as I said, was with the Institute of Government, now the School of Government at UNC Chapel Hill, and out of that has grown something called the Center for Public Technology. And the director, is that your official title? The director of that Center for Public Technology is Shannon Tufts. I could probably tell some stories on Shannon, but I won't do that today. I will tell this story. When our conferences were smaller, we had many more options for places to go. Now we only have a few venues across the state that can really support a conference of our size. Back in that day, we could go to places like Boone. I loved Boone. Just think it's a cool place. To a building that no longer exists called the Broyhill Center, up on the top of a hill. So one day we showed up for our NCLGISA conference, and we're used to seeing Janet, and there was an older gentleman named Don Liner, who was our Shannon before there was a Shannon, right? And we showed up that day, and there was this young person there. You remember how young you were then? But I think Shannon was working on her PhD at the time, but came to help out with our organization. And this was also a time, it may have been the same conference, where Gary Kuntz bought network equipment so that he could show us all how to set up networks at our conference. So, tells you time. But I'm going to ask Shannon to come up and give us a little bit about what's going on at the School of Government and the CPT. You want to come up here? You're going to stand on there.
I'm standing. I started laughing as she was talking about the history of NCLGISA, and I don't know if you even have this email, but I pulled it out because we also talked about Scott Fight about 2 seconds ago. 1997, this is how the email starts. As I sit here typing this email on a PC that uses TCP/IP POP3 SMTP, this is a lot of acronyms, mail to communicate with an NT server mailbox and an AS400 session active on Telenet and a web session open to the Unix box and a Java development tool active in another session, and communicate with your email box that may live on Novell, NT, Unix, or some other platform. I'm amazed at the level of openness that systems have achieved in just the last couple of years. The fact that we know that stuff and are laughing, all of you, we're old. There's some over there that didn't laugh at all, have no clue what we're talking about because they're young, right? So we have been around a really long time. NCLGISA was created in 1974 or 76. I always mess it up. 76? I think 76. And so they've always been associated with the School of Government, which was the Institute of Government back then. I worked at the Institute of Government when it had the dorm rooms. The creepiest moment of my life was the first day on the job when I heard a toilet flush and then a shower run next to me. Those of you who remember Philip Young, our webmaster, he shared a bathroom with me. I had my chair up underneath the door and it was locked because I didn't know this weird man and his need to take showers at work. But regardless, he ended up being a great guy. So we've done, I think, amazing things in all of those years. I mean, I think Don Liner did amazing work back in the day, and Janet did amazing work back in the day. And then I look at where NCLGISA has gone, and it floors me. Absolutely floors me to see what has happened in the time that I've been at the School of Government, which has been 15 years. And I don't think that any of you could have anticipated where this organization would go from the day I handed out surveys at the Broyhill Center. And none of you took my surveys, by the way. I hope you're nicer to Maurice when he comes and asks for dissertation research material, because he's going to be asking you next. So you guys actually all started the Center for Public Technology. It was a joint venture between all of the IT professionals in the state of North Carolina, the County Commissioners Association, the League of Municipalities, and the Institute of Government at the time, because our dean recognized that IT was something that was going to matter to our managers. And it was something we were spending money on, obviously, by Scott's email. We were spending money on cool technology with a lot of acronyms. And so we've tried to reflect the changes that have happened over the years in the kind of offerings we have. So when we first started out, I don't really remember what I did. I do have some floppy disks that still hold the materials that I used back then. And I actually found a box of transparencies that I used when I first started teaching at NCLGISA events, because we brought our old school projectors from the School of Government. We still have those because we don't actually have smart boards at the university yet, but that's a different discussion. So we created something at the request of NCLGISA in 2004. We actually started the program in 2005. Some of you heard about it if you went to NCLGISA 101 this morning, and it's called the CIO Certification Program. The School of Government works with all different sorts of professionals from local governments. We train and certify about 14,000 local government officials a year. Managers, finance officers, you name it. This group wanted to be part of that and wanted to have a way to certify IT professionals. And so we created this thing, and I remember I created it. I made it up in my head. I don't know where it actually came from. And I went to David and Earl and Joel and some of our sort of standard members. Leslie was part of that. I was like, does this look good? And they're like, yeah, we'll sign up. Mike Kroll, we'll sign up. We'll take that. And then they told me everything I did wrong the entire year. And they made it better. We now have, I think the last count I looked at was over 1,200 graduates across the country. We're seeing requirements. I know that the city of Fayetteville and other places have put in requirements for their CIO, when they're hiring a CIO, that they have to have the CGCIO certification. I actually just got an email from somebody in New Hampshire who wants us to advertise to all of our graduates because they want a CGCIO certified government IT professional to lead their organization. So it's amazing to think about where this has gone. I'm excited and pleased that all of you were part of that ride. It is your program. We change it on a regular basis because y'all change a lot, and what y'all do changes a lot. I say all of this to tell you that registration is now open for the 2015-16 CGCIO. We made a change this past year where we put it onto an August to June timeframe. It just seems to work better for y'all financially to actually match the the fiscal year a little bit better. Imagine that. It took us 10 years and Stacy to tell us to do it, to make it actually happen. She was right. We did it. And so it's worked really nicely. We have K through 12 involvement now. We have a program for K through 12. We have a program for state agencies, community colleges, and local governments, as well as programs outside the state. But definitely, if you're interested, find myself, Maurice, throw your hand up, Maurice Farrell, Stacy, all of you know Stacy. She is, the queen that runs all of this stuff. Any of us can help you with information about that. NCLGISA offers 2 scholarships a year to the program, and the local government federal credit union also offers scholarships, several scholarships. They never give away all their money. So there's a lot of ways to get funding for it, and we try to keep it fairly cost effective. One of the things that we're doing at the request of the NCLGISA board is that we're trying to figure out how to open up some of the materials to those of you who graduated from the program years ago, because a lot has changed, right, David? Or maybe nothing's changed. I mean, you're not wearing sunglasses today, so something has changed, obviously. Meaning he didn't drink too terribly much last night, right? So we are going to open up on January 21st a class that some of you actually sat in part of it. You got an hour of Freda Bluestein from the School of Government on public records law. We're going to have a class on January 21st at the School of Government. It's part of the CIO program, and we're going to talk about IT procurement. So we have Norma Houston, who is our procurement attorney at the School of Government. She's going to do a half-a-day session, and then the other half-day session is going to be on public records law, open meetings law. Norma will cover gifts and favors law and conflicts of interest in addition to procurement. Registration is going to run through Professional Development Committee here. They are actually funding 50% of the cost for all of you. So Chris, am I right? $50 is the registration fee. It's normally $100. Your board has bought down the price down to $50. So you just come to the School of Government. We'll feed you. We'll let you park near our building and all that sort of stuff. So that's the first offering. We've got a list of other offerings. One that Maurice and I have been sort of thinking about and working on is leadership assessment. I know Leslie went through a program at the School of Government recently called Leela. Did you go through Leela? No. You went through the fellows, the local government federal credit union fellows program, and they did a 360 LPI evaluation. Maurice is also working in that space, so he's going to be doing that. That's a course that we're considering offering for leadership training. We did a wonderful session in Greene County with Miss Felina. All of you should know Felina, and if you don't know Felina, you should talk to her about customer service, because we did a session on customer service and motivation for the Greene County IT employees for the public school system there, and we're going to try to replicate that. So if there are classes that you want that are soft skills, find me, find Maurice, find Chris Koltik. He's the Polish guy over there. And let us know what you want, because that's our job, is to serve all of you on whatever topics you're interested in. Registration for the 21st of January is already open on the School of Government webpage. I'm going to tell you how to get there because it's a little complicated. You go to courses, you select IT, and you look for the word, I think, public records and IT procurement, and that's what you click on. We'll put it out on the listserv as well. The CIO registration is also open. Same place, says CIO. You want the local government, North Carolina local government one. Don't register for the national class, because I'm going to put you in the local class because I want to see your faces. Okay? Any questions for myself or Maurice while we're here? All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Leslie.
I'm going to go ahead and mention our conferences and some upcoming conference dates so that you can get them down. On the back of your program, you'll see the dates for May of 2015, May 20th through the 22nd. We'll be back at the Wilmington Convention Center. We are under contract with them, so we'll be there for 2015 and 16 in May. And we have a new venue for next fall, so next October. I don't have the exact dates. And also for 2016, we will be at the Benton Convention Center in Winston-Salem. So we'll be trying out a new venue. We're excited about that. It's a very nice space, a little bit farther to the west. We'll see, hopefully, all of you there, plus some more folks. I also want to mention that there is a conference. It's the Premier CIO Forum event. The Raleigh one of those is coming up December 3rd and 4th. It's at the Sheraton in the Research Triangle Park. That organization offers our NCLGISA CIOs, IT directors, the top IT person, and their direct reports, two direct reports, free registration for that conference. It's a good chance for those of you that might want to take advantage of that opportunity to network with our private sector peers. I found that to be valuable when I have attended that event in the past. And again, the registration part of that is free for top-level IT person within each organization and two direct reports. You can go online, I think, and find that registration open now. All right. Our website committee is led by Chris Niver. Do you want to come up, Chris? And Chris had to take a conference call, so he slipped in the back there.
Hi, I'm Chris. As you all probably know, we have a website. Thank you. It's NCLGISA.org. We've been building it. Actually, Brad did a lot of the development on the back end last year. We changed over to a new platform. We're using WordPress. We've got a lot of great features on there. Member repositories for policies, things like that. We're trying to get these things together. So if you find any of that you want to get up on the website to share with others, every time it comes across the listserv, I try to snag it and put it up there. So, policy information, resources, anything you want, we can put up there just for our members. You have to have access to see it, so you have to be a member. Vendors don't get to see all that stuff. What else can I tell you? When you register for the site, it may take a little bit for you to get that member access. We actually do screen everyone when they sign up. We ask that you use your official email address, which then you can link to a social media, Google address, Gmail, or something like that to make it easier for you. But for us to vet you out and make sure that we only have our members in the member section, we ask that you register with your official agency email address. If there's anything anybody wants on the website, something that we don't have up there now that you'd like to see, please let me know. You can email me at webmaster@nclgisa.org at any time. And I think that's it. Any questions about the website? All right, thanks.
Thank you, Chris. I should mention, as you're listening to these chair people give their updates on their committees, if something strikes you and you said, you know what, I'd love to help Chris Niver out with the website, on your evaluation for the conference, there is a place to check that you're interested in serving on a committee. And I'm sure Chris or any of the other chair people would welcome your participation on their committee. So be thinking about that as you're listening to the updates today. Felina Harris is our membership committee chair. They have been a busy committee this year, and she's going to tell us about what's going on with her group.
Hello, everyone. Ooh, I forgot how big my mouth is. Yes. This year I've had the privilege of being the membership chair, and I thank all the board members for helping me out so much throughout this year. It's actually been just a few months now. But just to give an update, today, this week, we have 287 people registered, with 25 of those being guests. So thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here. And one thing I want to talk about as far as membership is concerned, one thing that we do as far as trying to reach out to new members or people who can't make it, we have regional meetings. And the last regional meeting that we had was David Caraway, I think September 19th, I believe. September 19th, and it was awesome, right? Yes, shake your head. in Little Washington, and we go to these places. We have a couple of topics. I think the last time it was Shannon and Maurice spoke at that particular regional meeting, and we try to take two topics, and we try to get with the city that we're going to see if they have topics that they would like to talk about, and we get ideas from different people as well to talk about at those regional meetings. The next one we're going to try to have in Mooresville, North Carolina, which is actually close to my hometown, Troutman. Y'all probably don't know where that is. Two people over there know. They know. But if you would like the regional meeting in your area or close to your area, please see me. My name is all over the place, so I'm Felina Harris, remember? Okay. Please see me and let me know, and we'll try to get your city on the schedule. The last thing I want to talk about is spreading the word. I found out about this conference through my old manager. Is she still in here, Sandy? Is she gone? She told, Cam Goldman is over there too. Cam and I used to work for Sandy, and she was like, I'm going to this conference, and it's only $100 registration, and it's great, and it's going to be good, and da-da-da-da. And we were like, yeah, whatever. Well, she came back from Wilmington bragging about how good it was, and how the food was there, and how they had prizes and all these things. We were so mad that we didn't go. But I went to the next year. That's when it was in Asheville. I went to Asheville that fall. And it's probably been about 3 or 4 years now. I haven't missed one since. So what I'm saying is when you leave here, make sure you tell your coworkers, especially your CIO, your CTO, whoever, how good of a conference this is. And like Sandy said at the beginning of the book, at the front of the book, it says it's the best bang for your buck. It really is. So make sure you spread the word and let others know how good of a conference this is.
Thank you, Felina. And Felina mentioned Asheville, and so I'm gonna take just a divergence for a second and let you guys know, with the move to Winston-Salem, the board, a couple of us toured several venues across the state, well, towards the western part of the state because we had Wilmington locked in. And we visited Asheville, a couple of places. As I mentioned, we have really outgrown most of the facilities around the state. And there were only 2 places that the Convention and Visitors Bureau showed us in Asheville. And one of them was just logistically not good for our conference, which was in the downtown area. And then we also visited the Grove Park Inn. And we could not find a way to make that affordable for you, our members. I want you to know that we really tried, and we may go back and try again because I've heard strongly that some people would love to be back in Asheville. But I think you need to know that due diligence has gone into selecting a venue for our fall conference. All right, next we have our business partner update from Rex Wilder. I mentioned that these conferences would not be possible without the participation of our business partners. So make sure you go by their booths and spend a little time talking with them. They all feel like this conference is the best money they spend. And a lot of that's attributed to the good job that Rex and his committee do with setting them up in the exhibit space.
Thanks, Leslie. How many of you been downstairs and visited the vendors? Everybody been down? Who's the one that's got the best swag? Tell me so I can go visit those guys. No one's got any good stuff? A head massager? Everybody seen that? The Laserfish had that. The wine opener. Any other stuff anybody's got that's pretty good? Have you seen those little battery chargers for your phone that you can charge it and take it with you? No other good stuff? Yeah. So it's important that you guys get down and see. It sounds like most of you have been downstairs to see these guys. And any vendors you don't know from past experience, any new ones that you've met here that you don't deal with? Any ones you don't want here? I can probably name a few from having to deal with them on Wednesday setting up, but I won't call any names or anything. But they're all good, though. They all have good products and stuff. So, but we have to make sure that we go by and see these guys because they're the ones that pay the money so that we can do what we do and go where we go and have fun and good time and learn a lot of stuff. So, I want to say, if you've got any ideas on vendors, some we need to invite to bring, get some new ones or whatever, or get rid of some old ones, please let us know so that we can get a good mix that's going to help you when you come to the show. So it's a good experience for you to learn things from those guys and see what their new stuff is and new ideas. So don't mind offering up some that you don't see here, and we'll try to see what we can do to get those here. So, and also I want to say thanks to my committee guys, and really behind the scenes that doesn't seem to be part of the vendor committee is Stacy and Joel, because they have to deal with these guys before the show for registration, collecting the money, all the guests that they bring in, and at the last minute they're changing guests. And I think we had like 3 vendors this time that actually changed their company's name. So we had to deal with those guys and getting new information in the program about who they were and what the new company name is. And so it's a lot of stuff going on that you don't see in front. So I really want to say thanks to Joel and Stacy for the hard work that they put in behind the scene. And thank goodness I didn't have to go and twist anybody's arm to make them pay this time. Last year I had 2 or 3 that didn't pay, and so we had to pull people from the wait list. And we had close to 20 vendors on the wait list that wanted to get in the show this time that we could not handle because we don't have room for them. So hopefully when we go back to Wilmington and go to Winston-Salem in the convention center there, I think we had 63 or 4, I think it was, in Wilmington. So in the fall when we go back to Winston-Salem, we'll be able to handle more than well, we have 53 booths here, but I think there's somewhere around 72 different vendors if you really look, because some booths have multiple vendors. So help us out. If you want to help volunteer on the committee, please fill out your form, let us know, and always use your input and support. Thanks a lot.
The next committee report we'll have will be from Chris Koltek. Chris's committee is in charge of professional development, and he's going to tell you about some of the things that are going on with his group. You going to stand down there?
Yeah, I feel more comfortable in front of the podium than on top of it. But vendor committee brings money in. That's a great job. That's why we have what we have. I'm privileged to chair a committee that actually gets to spend the money. We have $160,000 for this year for professional development. And how will you see that? If I could ask Dante, I don't see the display, but we've got the professional development offerings for this year. This list is dynamic, which basically means as we add events, you will see it added to the website. Currently, we have 5 Citrix events that are very intimate. There's 5 people per event. You have great instructor. It's hands-on, and it's only $300. We had one of those events on the west side of the state in Asheville. We'll have one in Gaston County, Salisbury, Raleigh, and Pitt County. Pitt County, I believe, is sold out. Raleigh is almost sold out. Salisbury, I believe, there's maybe 2 spaces. And there's few in Gaston. When we sell it out, we may add more. Also, events at School of Government. Shannon mentioned it before, public records. That will bring us closer to CGCIO. When I graduated many years ago, well, not that many, but a few years ago, I think I missed that session, or I maybe didn't pay attention. Now when I'm CIO and that issue is actually on the table, I wish I could go back. And this will be our opportunity to go back to School of Government and retake some of the classes where we feel like we need more information. There's quite a few classes from New Horizon. They're online instructor-led. You have to be a NCLGISA member to participate in those classes. Those classes are limited to 15 people. And it's kind of interesting. I usually get a request to register for the class right after the class just ended. So please pay attention and sign up for the class in advance. Don't wait till last minute. I also want to recognize people that make these offerings happen. Owen Squires, Randy Kress, Judy Ryan, David Bowling, Chris McMillan from Fayetteville, Adam Oates, Mike Taylor, and Steve Cross. If you want to participate on the Professional Development Committee, on Friday, put your name in. We're looking for people with new ideas. They're willing to put events together. And thank you very much.
I'll also say for Chris that they are always looking for ideas of what types of training will bring value to you. So make sure you reach out to him if there's something missing or something you'd like to see. And this year, as he and Shannon have talked about, we're focusing on some of the more managerial and soft skills training, as well as the technical skill training that we've gotten from New Horizons in the past. All right, there are other committees that we have, but you're going to actually hear from them tomorrow, so they're not going to report today. That's our GIS committee and our K-12 committee, and you'll also hear, I think, a little maybe from the league, who's one of our partners, maybe the County Commissioners Association, who's another partner. All of those folks are listed in your program on page 21. So, and today, most of us should have on the black shirts. If you have any questions, grab us and ask us anything. Tell us you're interested. If you ask me, make sure I get out my pen and write it down because I forget people's names, but we want to get you plugged in with the organization. In addition to the committees, we have our elected officials or officers of NCLGISA. The way that this works, we have 3 positions that we elect every year, and I'm going to call Joel Hartley up to give our treasurer's report. The treasurer is an elected position each year. Joel does a tremendous amount of work for the organization. He was mentioned as being the person behind the scenes, but I will tell you, Joel is the most on top of it person I have ever seen in his job and does a great job for us. So, Joel, if you want to come up and give us an update on our financial status. You going to stand down there?
Thank you, Leslie. I would like to report that our organization is very financially sound. And since back during the summer, when the year ended, we have completed our tax reports. Those were submitted to the IRS and also to our parent organization, GMIS. And also during that time frame in August, the Audit Committee was formed by volunteers of you, and they met and performed our annual audit. And I'd like the spokesman, Ray Hall, he'll have a brief report from the Audit Committee for you.
Thank you, Joel. As he said, we met in August. Just want to recognize Robert Reynolds, Bill Blanchard, John Higgins, Susan Lohman, and Gary Kuntz. We all got together and went over the various accounts of NCLGISA, and as Joel said, you know, they all look good. Joel does a great job managing them. There was no major issues, and the committee offered some just general recommendations, but no major issues. So looks good. Thanks, Joel.
Great. Thank you. And I'll come back and put another plug in at the on your surveys. There's an area for you to be able to check Audit Committee if you're interested. And I contacted everyone last year back in May that checked that box. So if you're interested, please check it. You'll get a call.
Thank you. At our spring conference every year, we present our budget for the organization, and hopefully some of you were there for that May event and got to see that. This year, we stretched quite a bit. We changed our budget around, tried to make sure we were doing the things that you, our members, wanted to do, and we will start through that process again, probably right after the first of the year, getting ready for next year with NCLGISA. So stay tuned for information about that. I should mention, too, you heard Joel mention GMIS. GMIS is a national organization that we are part of, and we have a representative from GMIS here today. I don't want to put Lori Fox, where are you pointing, on the spot. Do you want to just wave, or would you like to say anything? No, just wave. Lori Fox? Yeah, representative. GMIS will have their next conference in Rhode Island. What are the dates? August 23rd through the 26th in Newport, Rhode Island. 2 years ago, it was here in North Carolina in Charlotte. This year it was in Savannah, and moving up to the north here in the summer of 2015. The other positions that we have on our board are our secretary position, which Eric Harvey has been serving as our secretary. You want to wait, just so people know? Eric. We have long meetings, guys, sometimes, and Eric has to be the one to try to take the notes and keep the summaries of those for us. So we appreciate the job that Eric's done this year as our secretary. The president job is actually a 3-year stint. Each fall, we elect a president-elect who comes in and has 1 year of orientation kind of to the board and some duties around the conference and those kinds of things. Then they serve 1 year as president, which I'm doing currently. Our president-elect is Brad Black, who's here. He will, at the conclusion of the meeting today, officially be the president. I will move to a spot of past president for 1 year to kind of keep some continuity. Jason Whitaker, who did our invocation, is our past president. And then he will rotate off. So we have the 3 positions each year that we have to elect in the fall. We also have a Bylaws Committee, I should mention Gray at the back. That's an ad hoc committee that we call together every once in a while when we have questions about things or want somebody to keep us on the straight and narrow, because I personally can deviate sometimes and Gray keeps me in line. So we've come to the portion of our business meeting where it's time to re-elect or elect officers for the year. I'm going to let you guys know that through our bylaws, and I put out an email about this earlier in the week, our executive board gets together and talks about who we want to present as our nominees to you, the membership. And we're going to present those nominees to you today, starting with treasurer. So the nomination, I guess, from the executive committee is for Joel Hartley to remain as our treasurer on the NCLGISA board. All right, so I had a nomination and a second to close nominations. Is that what I heard? Okay. So all in favor of Joel, just the affirmative aye. Any opposed with no? All right, Joel. Back on for another year. I will say the treasurer position is one that continuity is really, really good in. There's a lot to learn. It takes a lot to get up to speed. It really takes a lot to get up to speed in any of these positions. So the next position is the secretary slot. We have a nomination from the nominating committee of Ray Hall. Ray is from Carteret County, and you just heard from him. He was the chair of our Audit Committee this past year and is desirous to serve as our secretary. So do I have any motions from the floor? So I have a nomination and a second to close nominations with the one recommendation. So all in favor with the affirmative aye. Any opposed with no? All right, so Ray. And the next position that we have up is the president-elect. And as I mentioned, that is a 3-year term on our board, progressing through all the way through to past president. The nomination from the nominating committee is Eric Harvey from Pender County, who has been serving as our secretary. So do I have any motions from the floor? So I have a nomination and a second to close nominations. All in favor of affirming Eric? Aye. Any opposed from the floor with no? All right. We have our slate of officers. Thank you all for agreeing to serve. I do really want to encourage those of you that are interested, make sure and be persistent if you're interested in serving with us on the board. We welcome everybody's input and everybody's ideas. For the afternoon, just so you guys will know a little bit about logistics, we have shuttles that will begin running from in front of the hotel at 5 o'clock? Right before 5 o'clock to take you out to a place called the Fair Barn. It's very close to here. where we will have some good Lexington barbecue. I've been looking forward to it ever since last year. You want to speak about that?
Yes, I would. We've got two gentlemen coming from one from Lexington, and where's Eddie from? Kannapolis. They are competition barbecue cookers. And Eddie's assistant city manager. The other gentleman, Chad Hodges, I actually go to church with Chad. He lives in the community where I do. But if you missed it last year, you're in for a treat. You'll have an assortment of beef brisket, pork, chicken, so whatever might tempt your taste buds. And you might even be able to smell it if you go outside.
We also have some entertainment tonight. Dante will be running that for us along with some help. For some of you who went to Sandy's class this morning, we've already had our dance lesson. But for those of you that might need a little more help tonight, we're actually going to have some real dance instructors there. Help us learn how to get our boogie on, right? You will also... Boogie, whatever. We will also have an opportunity. This is what most of you want to hear. You will also have an opportunity to win some prizes at the event tonight. So you will have a chance to win tickets, and Joel's also our prize picker, and he does such a great job with that. Such a good job. So you'll want to be there for that event. So before we close today, we have our last bit of business is to recognize some of our members, to give some awards. So I'm going to ask Brad Black, our now president, to come forward and present the awards.
So good afternoon, everyone. I've come up here today to recognize some NCLGISA members that have personified some of the awards that we have that we give out in the fall conference, and that's the James Cooper Award and the Member Emeritus. We have no nominations to recognize this year for Member Emeritus, but we do have two for the James Cooper. NCLGISA is all about the willingness to share knowledge and help our fellow members. And so this year we want to announce one of these nominations and present to Alamance County MIS Department. And I think that Greg is here. Greg, are you here with Alamance? Okay. If you'll just come up. So Greg and Frank, they pretty much embody this award from the nomination that was given. It was through their devotion and willingness to work with state and local governments, exploring opportunities and improving technological options and domestic violence victims with a nationally recognized program. It was called the Electronic Protective Order System. Is that correct, Greg? Did I get that right? Okay. Well, so they're quick to serve their communities, and we really appreciate the fact that they are involved in NCLGISA and representing NCLGISA well on the national level. Thank you, Greg. So our second award this year for the James A. Cooper is to an individual, and that individual is someone that I've worked with for a while now, since our CGCIO class that was mentioned earlier in 2008. That individual is Chris Niver, if you would like to come up here, and he's in Conover, North Carolina. He recently participated in another award system that we had, which was GIGA, that I think we didn't mention anything earlier about that. Okay, so let me take an opportunity there. So the GIGA Awards is a technological award that we give out that was found by the School of Government and NCLGISA in a partnership, and then funded by LGFCU, the local government federal credit union. So Chris has participated in that, and it also helped us on our website, as you know from earlier, coming up and presenting as our website chair, and we really appreciate all that he has done for the organization. Thank you, Chris. But then there's one last thing that we need to do today. So Leslie, I'm going to come down there with you, because we'd like to bring... Well, see, I'm really bad at standing in front of crowds anyway, so that doesn't help much. Is it back on? Oh, okay. So Leslie has served for the past year as our president, and Leslie has done a lot to help the organization across this year. She's brought some new ideas to the board. Leslie has participated in local government for 20-plus years. She started out in Johnston County, and she's served on the board in the past as president and then came back to help us out this year. And we really appreciate all that she's done for us in the organization. She served as a CGIS board member for us at the state level. And so we would like to present you this year, Leslie, with a plaque of appreciation for the presidency for NCLGISA. Thank you very much.
All right, I guess we are officially dismissed. Enjoy your afternoon. Oh, don't forget, we also have prizes in the vendor hall after the next session. This is when our vendors will draw for their prizes, and you need to be down there. Is that right? Present to win. So come back down after the next session.